Hey guys, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Marion from Marion Crochets. I am so excited to be back with another YouTube tutorial, and in this one we are going to be making this beautiful dress. I most certainly love how it fits, and worry not, I am going to take you through all the tips and tricks of how to achieve everything that you see in this video, be it the length, the fitting, or the sleeves. We will get into all that, so stick around and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So these are the materials that you need for this particular project. I have my pair of scissors. I have some stitch markers here. You can use 2 or 4 or as many as you can. I have my darning needle, which I will use to weave in the hanging threads. For my yarn, I'm using Robin yarn made in Kenya. It's 100% acrylic, and this ball in particular is 50 grams. Since this yarn is very thin and I need medium weight, I will be doubling these strands to achieve exactly that. And now for that, I will use a 4.0 millimeter crochet hook, and then you definitely need your measuring tape to get your measurements. And for this tutorial, the measurements that you need are shoulder to shoulder, waist measurements, bust, you need your hip measurements, and definitely the length of the dress. So without wasting so much time, let's just get into the video and see how to go about it. The construction of this dress is from top to bottom. So we will start our dress from the shoulders. So you get your shoulder to shoulder measurements, and then we will be making the dress from shoulders to bust to waist, hips, all the way to the floor. Now, once you get your shoulder to shoulder measurements, mine is 17. You get that measurement and then you minus 5. So if I minus 17 minus 5, I get 12 inches. So the measurement that I'm going to start with is 12 inches. So now I get my yarn and hook, a chain long enough to achieve 12 inches. And this is how to go about it. Make a slip knot like that. And then once you have your slip knot, you're going to chain 48. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have my 48 chains, and as you can see, it's giving me exactly 12 inches without stretching. So once you have your total number of chains that fit your measurement, you are going to add 3. 1, 2, 3. Now your chain is done, and the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to go into the 5th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth chain from the hook, that is where we will make our first double crochet. And to make a double crochet, you yarn over, insert in the 5th chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 3 on your chain, on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. You have made your first double crochet. So let us continue. You will chain 1 because we are going to work with mesh stitches. You will chain 1, skip 1 and go into the next with a double crochet like that. Chain 1, skip 1, go into the next with a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, go into the next with a double crochet. I'm going to continue with this until I get to the end of this row. So we're only chaining 1, skipping 1 chain and going into the next with a double crochet. So I'm coming towards the end of that row. I have chained one. Now I will go into the next, which is the very last chain, and then work my double crochet like that. So this is what you should be having by the end of the first row. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work like that, and then we will be making our double crochets inside the spaces and not on top of the double crochet. So you will yarn over, insert your hook in this space, make a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next space. We are skipping this double crochet and going into the next space with a double crochet like that, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet. So we will continue this until we get to the end of the row. So I'm left with one stitch in this space. I will yarn over, insert my hook in that space, and work my very last double crochet. So this is what you should be having at the end of row 2. Now let me give you a little bit of an explanation as to why we minused that 5 from our shoulder to shoulder measurement. Now when you're measuring your shoulder to shoulder, you always include the arms, the sleeves, yes, but I want this definitely the sleeve is going to be attached from here, yes, you will see as the dress progresses. And this is where the seam will be. I want the seam to sit just on top of the armpit, yes. So instead of it sliding towards the sleeve, I want it to be just at the armpit area. So when we are minusing that 5, it accounts for that distance between the armpit and the sleeve. Or rather, yes, I just want it to be precise and nothing hanging on the sides. The dress is to fit perfectly. So from here we are going to be increasing in order to achieve our bust measurements. So by this time you should be having all your measurements from the shoulder to shoulder minus 5 or whatever. You can minus whatever number. It shouldn't just be 5. I figured mine is 5 because, you know, I'm working with my tape measure, and that's the figure that I got. So we're going to start increasing from the 3rd row, and we will be increasing at the end of each and every row. So let us continue and see how we will be increasing until we achieve our bust measurements. And remember, this bust measurement that we're using is in half because we're working in panels. So this is like the front panel. It can be the front or the back panel. So since my bust measurement is 30, let me just confirm. My bust measurement is 34. I'm going to increase until I attain 17 right here, 17. Okay, so this is the beginning of row 3. As we have always done, we will chain 3, turn our work, yarn over, and insert your hook in that space, the very first space, and then chain 1, skip the double crochet and go into the space with a double crochet, yarn over, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the space with a double crochet, I'm coming towards the end of the row and I'm going to chain one, go into the space. So we're going to put an increase, an extra box here. Remember when we finished this row, we entered into the space and that was the end of the row. But now we have just completed the row, but we need to add one extra box. So you will chain one and then in the second chain, 1, 2, that is where you put your double crochet like that. So we have created an increase. This is definitely an increase, and we will be doing that at the end of each and every row to create an increase. So we will chain 1, 2, 3, turn our work and start the next row inside that space, the very first space. So you construct your double crochet, chain one, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain one, go into the next space with a double crochet, and we will meet at the end of this row as I demonstrate the next increase. I'm coming towards the end of the row. I'm left with 2 spaces, so I will place a double crochet, chain one, go into the next, place a double crochet, and remember we are increasing, so we will chain one, and then in the second chain, that is where we're going to place our double crochet. So we are increasing on the ends as we complete each and every row. We will chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work and go into the very first space and work a double crochet. Chain one, go into the next. You see, actually, as it shows here, our work has started to increase. Yeah, chain one, go into the next. So we are going to be working this way until we attain the measurements that you see. We started at 12 and now I am increasing and I'm at about 13 inches. I want to increase that way until I attain 17 inches. Okay, just remember we are increasing at the end of each and every row until we attain half of our bust measurement. So this is where we are. I have been increasing my piece for the last 10 rows. Now I have 12 rows in total. Now I will measure with you to see if I have achieved that 17. As you can see, I have hit exactly 17 inches. Now, you will increase until you attain half your bust measurement. Now, the next 3 rows, we are not going to be increasing. We just work as we did the second row. So this, we will chain 3, 3, turn your work, and then go into the first space with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 1, into the next with a double crochet, and you will do this until you get to this space, and that will be it for this row. I'm at the end of the row where I'm going to place this last double crochet in that space. We are not increasing on this row, so we will chain 3, turn our work, and then continue working. See, so this row also is going to be a non-increase, and the next one, so we are not increasing in 3 rows, 1, 2, and the third one. So that will take us up to row 15. This is how your piece should be looking like. The the part where you increased and the part where you have not increased. You see, you can actually spot the difference. Yes. Now I encourage you to start noting these numbers down. As you can see, we did the first and second row without increase, and then we increased in 10 rows up to row 12. So you can start noting these numbers down. So you can say increase up to row 12, and then row 13, 14, and 15, no increase. And since how our bodies are set up, after you attain your, from the bust, actually you start decreasing to attain the waist measurements. Yes, definitely the bust is bigger than the waist, so we are going to decrease a little bit to attain the waist measurement. My waist is 28, so you haven't that, you have 14. So from 17 inches we are going to decrease a little bit until we get to 14 inches, and then that will be our waist. We will have hit our waist measurement. And as of course you're using your waist measurements, not everyone has the 28-inch waist as I do. So if your waist is 30, you're using 15. If your waist is 26, you're using 13. So adhere to your measurements. Now for increasing, we have been increasing at the end of the row, but for decreasing, we are going to be decreasing at the beginning of each and every row, and this is how to go about it. So as always, we are going to be chaining 3, yes, and then you turn your work and skip. This is how we decrease. We will be skipping this first space and go into the next with a double crochet like that. So we just decreased, chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the space with a double crochet. So you're going to do this until you get to the end of the row. Okay, let me meet you once I'm done with this row. Remember, this is row 16 and we have just started decreasing. You might want to note that down. And we're noting these numbers down because we want to do the exact same thing on the next panel. We are working in panels and they have to be 2 and exactly the same. I am coming towards the end of the row. I will finish it with that double crochet inside that last space like that, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn my work, and we are going to skip this first space, go into the next with a double crochet, and for that we have decreased. So chain 1 and continue working those mesh stitches where we are chaining 1 and working the next double crochet in the next space. See, our work has started to decrease already, and that is what we are aiming for. So let me go off camera, work my decreases, and then I will come back to tell you exactly how many rows I decreased as we continue to work together. So now I have been decreasing from row 15, or rather from row 16. This is where we were. So I decreased at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So I have decreased 5 rows, and let's just measure and see what we have here. As you can see, it's exactly 14 inches. Remember, we are working with measurements, so don't just follow my numbers, you should follow your measurements. Just lay your piece flat and measure it. Now whichever number that you have, just make sure you record it somewhere so that your next panel should be exactly the same. Now, since we have been decreasing and we are at row 21, we are going to continue a little bit without decreasing. We'll just work rows of mesh just the way the piece is at the moment, without decreasing, without increasing, for like 1 2 3 4 5 6 for 6 rows. So all the way from row 21 to, or rather row 22 to row 27, that is where we will stop our non-decrease row, and then we'll see how to continue from there. So this is how to work a non-decrease row, or rather a normal row. Just chain 3, turn your work, and then you go into the first. Remember, we were skipping this first space while we were decreasing, and now we are going to get that first row. Chain 1 and first space, chain 1 and go into the next space, and then we will get all the spaces until we get to the end of the row. And once you get to the end of the row, you will place that double crochet into that space, and then chain 3, turn your work, and continue working this for 6 rows. So we just tackle the first, so the next 5 rows are going to be just like this one. And remember, marking your stitches is important. So I will mark here to show that this is where we started our non-decreasing row. Now the part that we just completed is the bodice. If you feel like it's a little shorter on you, you can definitely go ahead and add a few more rows on this part. But for me, this is fitting. I encourage you to be putting your dress against your body just to measure and see every part is fitting perfectly. Okay, so we are just at the belly button going downwards, and now we want to start increasing towards the hip area. So my hip measurement is 36, so we need to get half of that, which is 18 inches. I am going to start increasing, and as I increase a box on each row, eventually I will hit that 18 inches, and that is what we are going for. So remember, as we have been doing before, we will be increasing at the end of the row. So just begin your rows as you normally would by chaining 3, turning your work, and going into that very first stitch, or rather space, and making your first double crochet, chain 1, and continue working those mesh stitches until you get to the end of the row. And as we have always done, we're going to mark this part so that you know exactly where you are starting your increases, but still you should note that number down. So continue working this row, and we'll meet at the end and remind ourselves how we used to increase. I am coming towards the end of that row. Just remember, as we did here at the bust area, that's exactly what we're going to do. So you chain 1, and we are going to add another box right here. So on chain 2, that is where we're going to place our very last double crochet, and we have just increased right there. So we're going to chain 3 to start the next row, and to do so we will turn our work and go into that very first space and create our first double crochet, chain one and go into the next with a double crochet, chain one and go into the next with a double crochet, and we'll meet up at the end of the row as we also increase. Now, as you are familiar with this part, to increase you will work your normal double crochet in the space, chain one and add another double crochet on this inside the second chain, like that. So this is an increase and we had done our first increase here. So I am going to increase until I get to the 34th row. This is the 28th. We started increasing at the 28th row, and I'm going to increase until I have 34 rows, and this is going to give me how many? 18 inches to hit my hip measurement. But as we always say, we are working with our measurements, so if you have a different number, please adhere to that. If your hip measurement is like 42, you have to increase until you have 21 inches. So let me continue and then I will meet you once I'm done with the increasing part. I've been increasing and this is what I have so far, and if we measure it goes up to 18 inches, as you can see. So now I have achieved my hip measurement from here downwards up to the hem of the dress. I am going to just maintain the measurement, that is 18, all the way to when I will achieve the length of the dress. I want mine to be as long as 54-55 inches long because I want it to go up to the floor. You can work yours shorter or longer according to your preference. I just want to get that aesthetic of a long dress, which I truly desire. So from here there's no increasing, no decreasing, just chaining 3, turn and go into the very first first space, do a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet until you get to the last space, and that is where you will place your last double crochet, chain 3 and turn. So let's continue doing that. So for all the remaining rows, this is how you finish it. You will chain 1, go into the very last space and work your last double crochet, chain 3, turn your work and start the next row. So we're going to do this until we attain the length of the dress. So I will work off camera. I don't want this shoot to be lengthy. Let me go work off camera and I will meet you once I'm done with the length of that dress. Remember what you have done for this dress, for this panel, you're also going to do it to the next panel so that you have 2 identical panels. So I went ahead to complete my dress, and this right here is 104 rows in total. So according to your length, you can have less or more than those number of rows. Just go ahead and use your measurement. Remember, mine is 54 inches in total. But before we even complete, we want to see how to shape the neck area like I have done on the second panel of my dress. This is how we are going to shape it. We're going to add this part here on the shoulder area where we will later on work the shoulder seam. So let's just get right into it as I show you how I went about doing this part. First of all, we need to map out how the neck area is going to sit, and I'm going to leave out 8 inches across, and then definitely when I'm working, this part is going to be an inch taller. So if we add 8 plus 1 plus this other one, that gives us 10 inches, and also the other panel will have 10 inches. So my whole neck circumference, or rather the head circumference that's gonna be here, is going to be 20 inches. Now I'm banking on stretching, because usually the head the head circumference is 21 inches. So I'm banking on that little stretch that will give me 21 inches. Now you should do that, and then you can use your stitch markers to map out on the other one. So that leaves this part that we're going to leave out is 2 inches on each side, 2 inches, and those 2 inches for me are 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 stitches. So I'm going to do 6 stitches on each side and 2 rows. So let's do that on this other panel. So what we'll do is we'll make a slip knot and insert it at the corner of our dress. On top of that, chain 3, that is where we will insert, and then we're going to chain 3, 1 2 3, and go into that very first space and do our first double crochet. Chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, 1 2 3 4, and the last one, chain 1 and go into the very last one with a double crochet. And then to go to the next row, we are going to chain 3, 1 2 3, turn your work, and now we'll go into the very first space and do a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, and we're going to do this all across to the end of the row. Once you get to the very last stitch, we are going to chain 1 and cut. This is what you should have. And then we are also going to do the same on this other side. We will reattach the yarn at the very end of the row. And then chain 3 and go into the very first space and do a double crochet, just as we've done on the other side. That is the exact thing that we're going to do on this part. And then you're going to chain 3, turn, at this moment we are done with our extension, and now we're going to take the other panel, and now we work the shoulder seams. So make sure that your right sides are facing, and then you're going to push through, to pull this loop to this other side, I mean towards you, and then you chain 1, and now we're going to go into this space with a single crochet, and then on top of this, the next double crochet, do a single crochet in the space, do a single crochet on top of the double crochets, do a single crochet. Just make sure you're taking all the loops from both sides or rather both panels. All right, and once you're here, make sure you place the very last single crochet on top of the chain 2s. Like that, and then you will chain 1 and cut your yarn. We will weave in these ends later, but generally this is what you should be having at the end of this part. So after cutting your yarn, do the same on this other side, and then now we will map out the armhole, because the next part that we're working is the sleeve. So once you're done doing the seams on both sides, this is how the right side should look like. I went ahead to do just a line of single crochets on the neck area, and this is what we're having at the moment. I am pretty impressed with how this turned out. So the next part that we're going to do is, let's just turn our work to the wrong side, because that is where everything else is going to happen. Now we need to get to understand how deep we want our arm length to be. Arm length, or rather sleeve length, and the armpit, armhole. This part is the armhole, yes. So you will get your measurements for this armhole, and that is what we will use to work our sleeve. We are going to work the sleeve separately, but to work that we need to understand how long this part is going to be. I want mine to be 6 inches deep, so meaning it will be 12 inches all around. Now I am going to use my tape measure to get this measurement, and also a stitch marker to mark where my side seam is going to start, because the next part that we're going to also do is to join these panels together to create the side seam. So let me grab my tape measure and get these measurements in. So as I said, I want mine to be 6 inches deep, and this is what we have. So once you have your measurements, it can be 6 or more, it could be 7, depending on how bulky you want your sleeve to be. Now we're going to count the number of boxes: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So what we do on this side is exactly what we're going to do on this other side before we put the stitch marker in. So I'm going to count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12, and place this right here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. It's important to count these boxes because we want accuracy, and what is on one side should apply on the other side. So now I'm going to attach my yarn right here and create this side seam together on both sides. So you're going to make a slip knot and insert your hook in the next box like this, and pull up this loop towards you. And now we're going to make one chain and then create 2 single crochets in this box, or rather in this row. Move to the next and create 2 single crochets. Move to the next. Make sure you're taking both stitches from both panels. 2 single crochets right there. Move to the next and place in your 2 single crochets, and again 2 single crochets in the next. So we are working with 2 single crochets in each and every row, in each and every box, so that by the time we get to the end, this seam will be done. So I'm going offline to work this, and then I will attach my yarn right here and work this other seam on this side, and then we will meet up here and see how to work the sleeve. Thank you so much for being here, and if you haven't, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. My measurement at the armhole is 12 inches, so I'm going to make a chain 12 inches. So I will chain 48. Once I have 48, this is equivalent to 12 inches. I will add 3 stitches and then go into the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make a double crochet. Just as we've been doing with the body of the dress, even the sleeves, we will be doing our mesh stitches. So after you do your double crochet, you will chain 1, skip 1, and go into the next with a double crochet, and you will work these double crochets until you get to the end of the row. Now here there is a variation. You can choose your armhole circumference to be a little bit bigger or shorter, just how you prefer it. I want mine to be 12 inches, that is why I'm working with 12. So use your tape measure, get your measurements, however loose or tight you want your measurements to be, that is what you go with. So continue working the mesh stitch until you get to the end of the row. Once you get to the end of the row, you will chain 3, 1, 2, 3 to start the next row, and turn your work and go into the very first space with a double crochet. Chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet. Chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet. Continue working this until you get to the end of the row. Now once you get to the end of the row, after doing that last stitch in this space, you will chain 3 and turn your work. So this is the pattern that we are going to go with. You will repeat row 2 for a total of 20 rows. Now this part can vary. You can make your sleeve longer or shorter, just how you want it, but mine is going to be 20 rows long before I start making it balloon-like and bell-shaped, and then we will transform that into a balloon. So just continue working this until you have the total number of rows that you would want your sleeve to have. Now after attaining the 20 rows, we are going to identify the mid stitch. This is where we are going to do our increases. The increases won't just happen at the middle part of the sleeve, it will also happen at the edge. So we will be increasing here and also here. Remember, when we're increasing using this pattern, we increase at the end of each and every row. So we'll be increasing twice at the end of the row and also at the middle of the row. So to begin this row, we're just going to do it as we have always done. Chain 3, turn your work, and then go into the very first stitch with a double crochet like that, and then chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet. We're going to do this until we get to the middle stitch where I have marked with a stitch marker. Now once we get to that part, instead of placing just one double crochet as we have, you will chain 1 and add another double crochet inside of that stitch. This is how we're going to work this increase. We have placed 2 stitches and a chain 1 in the middle, and then we continue working the row, chain 1 and place a double crochet in the next space, chain 1, place a double crochet in the next space. I'm going to do this until I get to the end of the row where we will do our next increase. So once you get to the end, you will place your double crochet in that space and then chain 1, and on top of this, on chain 3, that is where, chain 2, that is where we place our next increase, like that. So we're increasing here and here. The next row we will increase here and here. So we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and then continue working the pattern. So we're placing a double crochet in that space, chain 1, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the next with a double crochet. We'll do this until we get to the part where we marked. So I'm coming towards the mid stitch. I will place my double crochet in that space, chain 1, go into this increased stitch here and place the first double crochet, chain 1, and the second double crochet in there also, like that, and then chain 1 and continue working the pattern with a double crochet, chain 1, a double crochet, chain 1, and we are placing the double crochets in the spaces. So we'll do this, we'll do this until we get to the end of the row where we will also increase. We are at the increasing point. You place your double crochet, chain 1, and then on top of chain 2, that is where we will do that double crochet, like that. So we're increasing at the end and at the middle of each and every row. So we're going to do this until we attain 10 rows of increases. We have done 2, we will add 8 more, and then I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll meet you once I'm done with that. I've been increasing for 10 rows, and this is where we are at the moment. You should be having something like this. So if you want your sleeve to continue with a flare, you can go on, but I think this is okay for me. So I'm going to work to lengthen the sleeve. So I will work 12 more rows of non-increase, and then that will be it for the length. We will meet here to see how we are going to do the next step. But basically, this is what you should be having. So the next steps that we're going to work is just simple mesh stitch without increasing. So we're going to work this pattern until we get here in the space, and we will not add another box here, just a double crochet and then chain 3 to start the next row. So when you get to the middle part where we were increasing, you will just place one double crochet in that space, chain one, and go to the next space like that. So we are not increasing anymore. This is what you should be having. When you get towards the end of the row, you will just place that one double crochet in that space, the very last space. Do the double crochet like that, and then chain 3, turn your work, and we are going to repeat this row until we have attained the desired length. I will add just 12, now 11 rows, and I'll be done with the flare part. So let me go offline to achieve my 12 rows, and then I will meet you once I'm done. So after working a few more rows, this is what you should be having at this point. Now we want to figure out how we can transform this to this. You see how snatched the wrist area is, and it's not as wide as this one. Of course, you can leave it as flare and wide, but if you want to go ahead and do it as I have, this is how to go about it. Yeah, we are going to be working with double crochets, and you will chain 2, turn your work, and then go into the space with a double crochet. We are working this row of double crochets. Yeah, so skip, we are not chaining 1, but skip the double crochet and go into the space with a double crochet. This also acts as a way of decreasing, because you see how wide this part is. We want it to be a bit snatched. So I'm just going in with double crochets without the chain ones. So in each and every space, a double crochet. A double crochet, a double crochet. So we're going to place double crochets in each and every space until we get to the end of the row. But by the end of the row, you should have something like this. You can actually notice that our piece is starting to fold in and make these gathers. And now the next thing that we're going to do is we will chain 1 and go in with single crochets. And the single crochets that we'll be working, we shall be skipping. We'll work the first single crochet on top of the very first double crochet, and then skip the next stitch and go into the next one with a single crochet like that, and then skip the next stitch and go into the next with a single crochet, skip the next stitch, go into the next with a single crochet. So we are working these single crochets, skipping, place a single crochet, skip 1, go into the next with a single crochet, skip the next, go into the next. You see how the gathers are forming already. Remember, this is what we are working to achieve. Okay, so skip the next, go into the next with a single crochet, and we will do this until we get to the end of the row. Now I'm coming towards the end of the row, and this is the very last stitch. We will place it on top of that, chain 3, and complete the row. Now to clean this off, because it's a little stretched, we will just do a row of single crochet on top of each and every single crochet. So chain 1, turn your work, and then place a single crochet on top of each and every single crochet from the previous row. So just like that, to make it nice and tight. So at the end of the row, this is what you should be having. And we are done with this sleeve. The only part that's remaining is to make the seam that joins it together to form a proper sleeve. So identify the wrong side. I want to put this one as my wrong side and put the right sides together. And then we're going to do a row of single crochets on this line up until this part, and we will be done with the sleeve. So just pull that loop towards you, like this, and then make a single crochet. And then now we want to identify each and every stitch and place a single crochet in there like that. And then we will go into the double crochet row and place two single crochets in that row. And then each and every row is going to receive so as I said, each and every row is going to receive 2 single crochets until you get to the end of the sleeve. So place 2 single crochets in each and every row like that. So this is what you should be having, and if you look from the right side, you will notice that everything is tight and in place. So let me continue off camera until I get to the end of the sleeve. So we're coming towards the end of the sleeve. So we will put those two single crochets and then chain 1, and don't cut the yarn yet because we will use that to connect to the dress. So this is what we have. At this point you should have both sleeves. This one is on the right side and this one is on the wrong side. I'm going to turn that in just a moment, but basically this is what you should be having at this point. I hope you're enjoying this tutorial. If you are, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now I'm going to turn this sleeve to the right side so that we can just compare and see how beautiful they are. So this is what we have, and once you turn and put it on, this is how it will sit on your hand. This is the sleeve. Let me give us, yes. So this is what we have. I was looking for this balloon effect on my sleeve, and actually I have achieved it. So let's go ahead and attach these sleeves to the dress already and get done with the dress. So this is how to connect the sleeve on the dress. I definitely have the sleeve inside of the dress where it's on the right side. This is the right side of the sleeve and this is the right side of the dress. So the right sides of each are facing. And then now we are working on the wrong side of the dress to make the seam. Now, the yarn that's on the sleeve is the one that we're going to use to seam this. And you're going to insert your hook in this box right here, and then you just reduce that loop and pull it towards you, and then now we can continue making our single crochets. So we will place 2 single crochets in each and every box as we have always done. Not really, we will place 2 single crochets in the boxes on the dress, and then for the boxes that are on the sleeve, this is how we're going to go about it. Once you have your hook through the box on the dress the first time, it will go through the box on the space on the sleeve like that, and then you make your single crochet, and then insert your hook again through the box on the dress, and then on top go through the loop on top of the double crochet on the sleeve like this, and then make a single crochet. We move on to the next, through the box and through the space on the sleeve like that, through the box and on top of this double crochet on the sleeve. We are doing this because this right here has only one, it has one chain in this space and then a double crochet, but this is a stitch that can accommodate two single crochets. So we are accommodating two single crochets, but a single crochet in the space and the other one on top of the stitch. So we're going to follow this procedure until we are done with the dress. We'll just go all around until you get to the point where you just started seaming. And the reason as to why I placed this stitch marker over here is to align them together, because when you stretch it like this, it has to be in line so that all the stitches are lining together well, to avoid cramping anywhere on the dress. So everything has to be in line. So let me continue doing this seam off camera, and then I will meet you once I'm done. Now once you've gone around, you will always slip stitch on top of that stitch right there, and then chain one, and you're done. Actually, you can see how our seams are aligning. This one is aligning with this, and this is aligning with that. Now once you're done, you can cut, and now we're going to use this yarn to weave in our end right here. We can just connect these two. We can connect these two together like this, since all the seams are aligning very well. And I hope you are pleased with your work so far, as I am with mine. Everything has worked out well, and I hope you're not having a rough time making this dress. Instead, in case of anything, you can always reach out to me. I will be available to answer all your comments, and also you can reach out to me on my Instagram page, Marion Crochets, and we can have a chat, and I will guide you through anything. So thank you so much for watching. Let me go put on my dress and show you exactly how this fits me. But before I do that, let me show you how it looks on the right side, okay? So with the sleeves attached and everything in order, all the yarn hanging threads cut and secured, so this is what you should be having at the moment. And I hope you're pleased with how your work turned out. I can't wait to see all your recreations. I hope you will tag me on my socials, Marion Crochets everywhere, TikTok, Facebook, and also on Instagram, even on X. So go ahead and try your dress on and let me know how everything went. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Marion, and as always, I shall see you here next time. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and for always keeping it here at Marion Crochets. I promise to see you in my next video, which is very soon. Thank you so much. As you are going about your business today, may the Lord guide you and see you through it all. My name is Marion, and as always, I am grateful for you. Bye bye.